All right.
Oh, it came up on my thing that we're recording.
We're recording.
So I have a lot of questions. So
Wait a minute. This is Jessica Leigh. I'm John Perrotta, and we're on Zoom. We're gonna go on to Facebook after, and I'm drinking a Dell's lemonade, watermelon Dell's lemonade.
I'm so jealous of that.
Sugar-free Powerade.
Not jealous of that.
I'm all set to go. First of all, Memorial Day is one day. I got to say, we got to remember all the veterans, men and women who sacrificed their lives for our country. I was a veteran, and all the veterans that sacrificed their lives. I wanted to mention that before we get rolling.
Yep.
This is the weekly check-in. For those who don't know, Jessica is a therapist by day, comedian by night. And I talk to my therapist now with the pandemic going on the phone like 2 or 3 times a week. And Jessica is my comedy therapist at night when I need. So Jessica's there. And Jessica had a virtual cocktail party with her job.
I did. Yep. We had a virtual end of the day Friday. And then John was like, hey, want to record? I was like, sure, let's do that. So I actually have a lot of questions for you because what's interesting is that
you have a buzz on, Jess? You have a buzz?
A fraction of a buzz. Not a huge buzz, but like a fraction of a buzz. But like you look like you are in a therapy office.
I mean, my daughter moved out. She got married, and I'm in her bedroom, which my daughter Gina's old bedroom is now the Comedy Factory headquarters during the pandemic. You know, like CNN and Fox News, they get their headquarters.
Yep.
This is the headquarters for the Comedy Factory.
Well, I love it. I mean, it's very peaceful and serene, whereas like I'm supposed to be like the therapist in the situation, but I'm like, I got like so many distractions in the background. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got a lot going on here. Whereas you have like that, like calm, like, mindfulness type of stuff going on.
I'm Italian, Irish, and Polish. I'm the farthest thing from calm that you've ever seen, Jessica. I got a long history. I am not calm. I try to be. So what kind of questions you got? What do you got?
For you, for questions. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about your very detailed instructions for how to run a show.
Oh, when I have you do a show, I tell you everything that's got to be done.
Apps, yes.
I'm crazy.
So what do you think you want to do in terms of like, because now you've got Zoom up and going, you've talked to a couple of comics on Zoom. Do you think that you want to have detailed instructions for what you want to talk about in terms of, do you think that you're going to do capital letters?
I know I send you that message with all capital letters on what to do. Yeah, no, I'm not going to have detailed instructions. We're just going to wing it. If anybody wants to ask me anything, eventually I might have 2, 3, 4 comics. We'll be talking. We'll have some fun,
Oh my God.
Get through this crisis.
Yeah. I think that we should do a Comedy Factory open mic.
You think we should do a Comedy Factory open mic on here? I
think that would be fun. Even if we just get together and hang out and talk, I think it would be fun. I think a lot of people would go.
Yeah. Possibly. I miss. It's Friday night. Normally we'd have a show or something, and so like I said, I've accepted. Hey, this is the way it is right now. Everybody in the world, from an open mic comic to the Rolling Stones, we're all in the same boat. Whether you're a big music band, Bruce Springsteen, whether you're Jessica Leigh or John Perrotta, we're all in the same boat. We're all out of work for comedy. It's in music and plays. And
yeah.
We all got to find that niche where we can do something and have some fun and get through this,
Right. And be able to just have like that conversational piece, I think is like super important. And just being able to like connect with some of the comics and whatnot, I think is super important. Like I've done a couple of writing sessions. I haven't done any open mics yet or like shows, like any of the virtual shows, but I know that that's how a lot of people have been getting through is like the virtual shows, but I don't know. Like I always feel like super awkward.
Yeah, virtual shows. Maybe I'll try one at some point. But like for me, I work the audience. I have the audience right there, and I can go from table to table and have fun. I walk around. like, what am I gonna do? Walk around my daughter's bedroom?
You're one of my favorite people to watch, and I know, and that would be something like if you were to do like a Zoom open mic, like you could, I mean, there is a way to be able to like see everybody, and you could like, you could kind of like talk to everybody that way, but it would be tough.
Yeah, oh
Everybody would
yeah.
have to unmute for you. Everybody would have to unmute for that part so that they
Yeah,
could engage.
I think it's a bit complicated for me to do my act on here, you know.
I think that you should start with an open mic and talking to a couple of comics that you are comfortable around talking with and see how you
Yeah,
feel about it.
yeah, yeah.
And if you
I,
feel like you can bounce around from people and see how it goes, and then maybe try one of like the shows.
so we'll see. But in the meantime, my barber keeps texting me because he's opening back up June 1st. And I told him I need a haircut, and he's texting me different times and everything. My barber is Philippe. He's a cool Guatemalan dude, and he's does a great job. I've been going to him for years. He cut my son's hair when he's in town, and Philippe keeps texting me. He wants me to go get a cut in June.
Well, I'm jealous that you're able to get a cut that fast because, as you can tell, like I need a cut badly, and I don't think that my salon is going to have an opening probably until like September, October.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
it's
they're gonna be jammed up. They're gonna be jammed up.
yeah, yeah.
Philippe's my man. You got to get me in. I told him, get me in early June.
It sounds like you have a good connection with Philippe, which is
I
pretty
got
awesome.
a good. Me and the Guatemalan people, we're in. I love them, man.
What is the first that besides comedy? What is the first thing that you think that you're going to do once the pandemic is done?
Once I get the virus, and the pandemic
No,
is
no, after.
once not once I get the virus, the vaccine. Once I get the vaccine and everybody gets the vaccine in the whole world, and I know it's safe, then I can go into one of our old, like Spiritos restaurant or Lemongrass and have 100, 200 people. Then I'll be thrilled to death. And I don't know what the first thing. This has been mind blowing to say the least. I don't know what I'll do first. I really don't. I'm like all of us. We're like,
Right.
I mean, they're opening the country little by little, but everybody's different. I talked to one friend a little while ago, and he knows another club owner's wife is a nurse, and she says this thing is blown all out of proportion. And then yesterday, somebody else tells me there was 27,000 more cases in the United States yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So some people are saying it's blown out of proportion. Other people are saying there's thousands of cases a day. So you don't know what to make of it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I play it safe. I'd rather play it safe. I just I'm older. I have diabetes. I don't want to get it. I don't want to get it.
Yeah, no, a lot of people have like, we've been, talking at work about like when to even go back, and like they've sent out like a couple of surveys and things like that. And I don't even know how to answer the questions because like, I don't want to say, yeah, we can go back like 50-50 or, 75-25 and then have somebody get sick and die from the thing. It's like, it's so scary because it's like, of course, like I would love to see, shows back up and running and people being able to like go for like their, their passions and different things like that. And like, and laughter is one of the most important things I feel, and especially it's so needed right now too, which is like the other tough part, but it's like, but at the same time, like I also don't want like audience members getting sick. I don't want the comics getting sick. And it's like, and there's so many unknown things about it that it's like, you just don't know.
I worry about also the club owners. I got
Yep.
friendly with them, like Spirito's Restaurant, Greg and Dave Spirito, Asia Grill, Charlie Chan, Lemongrass, the owner's great. A lot of the clubs we did, Marshall, Paul Park, different club owners, and I understand their point. They got to open. They got a business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, maybe eventually I'll still book some shows. Comics are willing to go, but I'm not sure when I'll make the plunge. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm cautious. I'm taking it day by day. We'll see what happens. I mean, I miss getting on stage. Believe me,
Yeah.
I miss it. And this is
Can't even
next.
imagine what this is like for you. Like, I really can't even imagine because, like, you had just retired. You were going and doing so many shows. You had so many different shows running in one night. Like, and you're talking about Lemongrass. That's one of my favorite buffets. That's one of my favorite shows to go to is Lemongrass. You always book a good lineup for that. And, like,
Yeah.
the and like that is a really awesome venue. Like the staff are great, the food is great, the drinks are great, like everything about that place is awesome.
Yeah,
And
see, the problem with the comedy, when you book rooms like that, I say I got 100 people at Lemongrass. I could bring in a Stephanie Peters, a Christine Hurley,
yeah,
Frank Santarelli. I could bring in these bigger acts and mix them with some of the newer
you just need
comics.
like
And
three of my favorite comics to
yeah,
watch.
we'd have great shows. But if they say, well, you can only get 50% of the room, if you're only going to get 50% of the money you are getting, you're not going to be able to book Stephanie Peters, Christine Hurley, Frank Santarelli. You're not going to be able to book them because if you're getting less money, so now you got to have less of a show, which, I like to put a really good show on. So it's kind of a catch-22. I've been thinking about it, and I don't see how until it comes back the right way. It's going to be tough to do. Maybe we'll be able to do it somehow and just book a little bit less of a show, I guess. I don't know.
Right, right. I know you won't be able to do your marathons, which is no fun. But unless you have comics that would come down and and do some time for and not expect anything, like out of respect for like the pandemic and what this has done, like I would have zero issue. First of all, like I'm not even at that point where I can even like I'm not at like the point of like headlining or anything along those lines, but I totally could host, and I totally would host a show for free if that meant that the headliners would get paid for it, if that makes any sense. Like,
yeah,
totally.
that's cool, but we're gonna have to you know what? Everybody's got a lot of questions, and we don't have enough answers. So as time goes on, we'll get more answers.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's May 22nd. We really don't have enough answers. Like, I don't know about the fall. I don't know. I get shows scheduled. I don't know if they're gonna happen. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I mean, I'll have to talk to club owners like in June and say, hey, we got this show in September. Can we do it? What does it look like? And you know what I mean? And like I said, if I'm still not willing to go into a bigger crowd, I don't know. If I don't, I'll have to get the other people to run the shows for me and do the best they can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I think I'm booked with you on something in like August, I think, actually. I was booked with you for a couple of things with June, which were going to be really good shows too, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. I had some killer shows in June coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now everything's pretty much canceled till like late August. So
Hmm.
yeah, we'll see what happens. I miss getting up there and busting everybody up. You know what I mean?
I miss even like Copperfields and like the pub on Park. Like
The
that.
open mics. Yeah.
Yeah, even like just being able to like come and like see people, and like I had just wrapped up everything for like grad school. I had just graduated, like I had just gotten like my LCSW to practice, and like
That's awesome. That's awesome that you did that.
all of these things, and then I'm like, oh, I can finally focus on just comedy. And then pandemic was like, oh, by the way, you're actually not going to do that. And that was like, I'm like, what the heck? Like, I just met like all these awesome, like newer comics that are like coming out onto the scene that are all really, really talented folks and like just really awesome people. And like, just started like getting back around like you guys and different things like
I feel bad for the veteran comics, and I feel bad for the newer comics that were getting excited. Like I met a comic. He started. He was 16. I met him in January. His name is Nick LeBeouf, and I met him and his girlfriend Holly Johnston. I met him. I did Fody's Tavern in New Hampshire for Alana Foden and Greg Bogus. I did that around January. And I met Nick. He's really good with videos, and he took a video of me that night. Then I had him at the Comedy Connection. He took a video of me, and I sent him some old DVDs I had, and he's in the process. Every week he puts I have John Perrotta's Comedy Factory page. He puts a new video up every week or so. Different videos I did, which I like. It's pretty cool. Even though I can't do it now, I can still put some videos out. Some of them that haven't been out in a while. And he's really cool. He's helping a lot. So I met a lot of great people in the business, from the newer comics to the top headliners. Like I've always treated everybody the same, and it's worked for me.
That's the thing that I like. I can't say enough about you just as a person in general, like, but like that's my like favorite quality about you is that you give everybody a chance, and you give everybody a fair chance of like the stage is yours, and it's, and seeing what people can do and seeing where people can grow from there, and that's like, I feel like allowing that like type of a free space kind of allows people a fair opportunity, to be able to like, to do what they can, to do what is in their capacity to be able to do. Anytime I'm on a show where like I don't feel pressure over my shoulder, like I have a fun time. Like I've had really fun times at like your shows, but if I ever feel like I need to meet an expectation, which is also important too, and in that sense too with comedy, I feel, but like for somebody like myself that just has always like struggled with that, like, that pressure aspect of that, like, or like, any self-esteem issues that can get in the way of like telling jokes and whatnot. Like when I don't feel pressured, I notice that's when I'm like my best self and able to like have the most fun and like tell my jokes like the way that they're meant to be. But like if I'm way up in my head and like expectations are through the roof, which can either be pressure from somebody else or from myself, like it's not gonna go as well as it could if I'm just relaxed.
Yeah, Rock and Joe Hebert and I were talking today, and he was saying like when he first started 35 years ago, the first couple of years he would like always be nervous, Yeah. Then it got to a point where he wasn't nervous anymore, and that's all the point I got to. Like I used to be nervous, and somewhere along the way, I wasn't nervous anymore. And I was the kind of guy, if I went into a room full of people, I would sit at the first table. I didn't want to walk through a crowd, and then now I've gotten up before 2,000 people, and it's like nothing, I just go up, you know what I mean? So the nervousness, every once in a while, I'll be a little nervous, certain gigs, but most of the time, I'm not nervous anymore,
You make it seem like it's like ice skating, like it's so graceful, you know what I mean? But like if I went to try to ice skate, I've never gone ice skating in my life, but like if I was to try to ice skate, it would not be graceful. Like it would be like, a disaster. But like I feel like so many like figure skaters just make it so beautiful and make it so like, and that's how I feel like you are a lot of times with comedy. Like when I did that, when I judged that show for you that we did at the Warwick
Knights of Columbus.
Knights of Columbus, so much fun. And you were sitting there and you were like, oh, I forgot I'm actually hosting. And like you just got up and like went and did your thing. And like if that was me, I'd be like, oh my God. And like so all up in my head of like, oh my God, I need to be able to like sound okay. I need to be okay. There's a huge crowd. Like there's a bunch of people, and like, but like you just literally like, oh, I forgot even what I'm doing, and like put your phone down and went up and crushed. I'm like, what the heck? Like
it was my show. And I'm hosting the second half, and the act got off. One of the comedians got off, and I'm just sitting there, like whatever, thinking, wait a minute, I'm hosting. That's I had to run up there and now do some material, bring up the next act. It's crazy.
That was so much fun. Yeah, that was, and that's like what bums me out so much is that like comedy had just like gotten, like I was at the point where I was like having a lot of fun with it, and I was like getting to know so many awesome people. Like school wasn't a pressure, like so many different things like weren't like in the way. Like I feel like every time I've gone to like pursue comedy, something has been in the way, and it's not like, some of it has been like my own fear and like my own like insecurities and whatnot, but like a lot of it has had to do with like external things that are out of my control getting in the way. And like it finally was like a free playing field, and then COVID was like, nope, still once again, like you can't go tell jokes, no, and now nobody can tell jokes. I'm like, great. So I don't know.
I'm just gonna, I say we gotta hope for the best, and we'll be back at some point. And I was thinking back, I was talking to Mike Cronin, a comedian I started with in the early 90s, and we were reminiscing about old times. And I remember one show, I still do this room, Great Imposter in Warwick. It was like an open mic Saturday nights, we used to pack it. And one show I had Bob Marley and Tom Carter back to back.
Oh my God.
That was unbelievable. And
I
like,
can picture that being unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I used to book Tom Carter, Bob Marley, Bill Burr, Mike Kaplan was really popular now. Just came out with an album.
Yeah.
A lot of comics that I worked with in the early 90s and early 2000s. A lot of there's quite a few that have really gone on and done well. And me, I'm in my daughter's old bedroom on Zoom, so with no new album coming out. So I don't know what happened. I'm here with my Powerade and sugar free, and I don't know what happened, Jess.
but so, and that's like, you know, a lot of times, like when you're in that position where you help a lot of people, you know, you sometimes end up falling like under the radar, you know what I mean? Like, and that's like, you know, but like, and that's, like, there's a magical component to that though. You know what I mean? Like when you can look back and like know, like, that you feel like you did a really good thing, like that's
Yeah.
kind of where like the magic moment is, you know what I mean? And you have helped a tremendous amount of people, and a lot of people would not be where they're at today had they not met you.
Yeah, the cool part is like I keep in touch with Bill Burr. We text each other.
Yep.
Now I happen to find an old calendar book. A couple looking through. I got time now looking through old stuff. And
Yep.
it was January 23rd, 1993. I had some 4 or 5 comics names, and one of them was Will Burr. And I said that has to be Bill Burr. So I texted him the picture of it.
Yep.
I said, Bill, I think this is you. This is from January 1993.
Yep.
Texted me back. He said, yeah, that was me. And he drove up. There was a comic from Boston named Phil Berliner. And this guy was crazy. He said, I drove up with Phil Berliner, Bill Burr said, and he was nuts. This guy, Phil Berliner, used to get on stage with a dozen of donuts. He had a suit on, little guy, glasses, and he would literally, not say one by one, get the donuts and smash them in his face. I still never forgot this guy. Like Phil Berliner. I mean, I've met thousands and hundreds of comics or whatever. Phil Berliner is one I'll never forget. I've seen him probably 5 or 10 times in Boston and the air, and he would literally every time smash a dozen donuts off his face, and the crowd would be, they'd have to laugh to see somebody do that.
That's a long shower after. I used to raise like money for like an AA meeting that I went to, and they, at their anniversary, they used to do pies in the face, and like I was always nominated like every year, you know, when I was like younger and whatnot, and like because I went to meetings when I was you know, when I was 15 for like a good number of years, and now I drink very incredibly socially. And what's ironic is that I haven't had a drink in probably like you know, a good long while. And then tonight you catch me when I'm actually having some drinks with work.
Yeah.
So, but I want to say I probably raised, I want to say about like probably $5,000 for that group. I want to say like throughout the amount of years that I was nominated. And the pie in the face thing, you smell the whipped cream after. So like, I can't imagine having something like that with sweets in my face being part of the act. Whereas like, you can't wash it off your body. Like even if you go and like take a shower, like you can't get it off of your body. So like, I don't know what that could even feel like. So, I mean, good for him. I mean, damn.
Dozen donuts. Maybe you should try that when you come back, Jess. Get a dozen donuts and just smash them all over you. It might work for you.
Bad idea.
Who might be the next Phil Berliner? I don't know where that guy is. I'd love to find him. I will, and he's still alive. I would love to talk to Phil Berliner, you know, with the donuts, you know.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But then you went and opened for Bill Burr, which is really awesome. And
yeah, it was 2009. He came at a comedy connection. I opened the show for him. I went in the green room. I was talking to him in the back, and he said, "Why don't you mention how you booked me at Old McDonald's Chicken Farm for $25? I used to do this all you can eat, all you can laugh chicken dinner place in Swansea, Mass." He said, "Tell him a story." So I told him the story at the con. I got up and said, "I'm going to introduce this guy. This is what happened." I told him how I booked him way back. And then Bill Burr got up, and he's funny because he imitates me. He's imitated me on his podcast a couple of times. Oh, this guy, John Perrotta, ran. He goes, hey, brother, I got this gig for you. He's imitating me.
So cool. Yeah.
So he's a real good guy. Like, and then I opened for him, The Thrill of My Life, 2017, Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom, like 2,000 people. That was an awesome, like 2 shows, 2,000 a show. He went out, he did an hour and 20 minutes each show. He was like a rock star. And then Bob Marley, I was supposed to open for him. I'd worked for him in the 90s. It was 2000, I forget what it was, but I was going to be at the Comedy Connection to open for him. And I asked to do it. I was really thrilled. And then I got sick. I went up in the hospital, and I was out that night for the show. I wasn't up to par, but I went to the Comedy Connection, and Bob Marley was really big now, meeting from Maine, and he had his camper outside the Connection.
That's awesome.
So a guy was putting out his CDs and old DVDs and stuff to sell after the show. And I told the guy, you know, who I was, I'd like to talk to Bob, and he went in the trailer. And then I went into the trailer. I talked to Bob for like 20, 25 minutes. He was really cool. And he was a great guy. We had a lot of fun.
He's hysterical. I saw him
Funny
at
guy, funny guy.
Patriot Place. I think it was Showcase Live. I saw
Yeah,
him like a few years ago, and he
he's
was absolutely hysterical. And like, of course, like I know a bunch of people who have worked with him or opened for him, or have like seen him in passing because he is from Maine, so he is super local. And just like I've heard nothing but good things about Bob Marley, and he's
oh,
so
he's awesome. He's awesome. He was just on Ace Aceto and Scott Higgins' podcast.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Yes, I
I
saw that.
watched that and listened to that, and it was awesome. Tom, he went to L.A. He was on a Tonight Show, Conan O'Brien, and movies, and
I was excited because I was like, I was just on Ace Aceto and Scott Higgins' podcast, and then there's like a super big comic on there, and we actually talked about you a lot of the time.
oh yeah,
We did.
you did.
So we talked about you and Perrotta shows a lot of the time.
Oh God, I'll have to listen to that one.
Yeah.
And then Tom Carter, I remember booking him at a Chinese restaurant in Taunton, probably a couple $100, and then he went on America's Got Talent, and he blew up. I consider him a good friend, and his wife Carrie Louise, I started with her, and he's done unbelievable. So it kind of makes you feel good that you were with these guys in the trenches when they started, and it's nice to see some of the guys that get to the top, because we're not all going to get to the top.
Right.
We're all going to go to a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm happy where I've gotten comedy in 29 years. Like I didn't get to the top. I'm not just starting. I'm kind of in the middle of the pack. There's big guys way over me, and like I'm in the middle of the pack, and I found a nice niche for myself in Rhode Island and in New England, and I'm happy. I'm happy with what I've done in comedy.
Mm-hmm.
What I wanted to do more, we all want to do more. No matter what you do, I'm sure if you get on a Tonight Show, then you want to be back on the Tonight Show, or you want your own Comedy Central special, or there's always going to be more. But I'm happy, I'm happy.
I'm like, if I can leave, I just want to make some type of an impact. And like, if I can leave, something cool behind, or do some really cool shows that are like benefiting, like I like to do a lot of benefit shows and like different things like that. Like, I'm like, if I can just leave behind something that's cool, and have fun in the process, like, I'm like, I am totally fine with that. It's like, I feel like if I only focus on like selling out the TD Garden, you know what I mean? And that's my only goal. And that's the only thing that could possibly matter to me. First of all, like that, the chances of that happening are very, very slim, but like also like, if that was the only thing I was focused on, then I'm missing everything else that's happening like right in front of my face. And like, I feel like a lot of like those good times are at like open mics that are just hanging out with comics that have weird stories and like weird life experiences that like I can just be myself around and like, like exchange jokes with and stuff like that. Like, or, even just a Wednesday night at Copperfields when I'm like hanging out with you and like, like we got all the regulars at the bar, like, and like those nights, like I go home and I'm like happy, like I'm happy, like I had fun, like it was cool, so it's like, I feel like if you're too focused on like a goal that may or may not happen, depending on a lot of things, some people you don't think are going to make it that really skyrocket and make it. And you're like, okay. And then other people you're like, oh, that person's definitely going to make it. And they don't, and like, but like, if you're not like enjoying that process, then it's like a lot of wasted time. And like, I feel like just in my life in general, I've wasted a lot of time. And
the main thing is you got to enjoy yourself when you're doing comedy. You gotta have fun, and that's what I've done. I got a good relationship with all the comics. The good thing, I pay that night. If a comic does a show for me, I always pay that night. I got a good reputation with all the bigger headliners, the smaller acts. I always pay everybody that night, 99% of the time. I don't say I'll pay and whatever. I pay that night. You know what I mean? So I got, some of the shows like Spiritos, Asia Grill, Lemongrass, we do great shows. And then I do some of these marathon shows. We do like at Copperfields or other places where we did the bowling alley in East Province. We have like 3-hour shows and open mic guys stopping in. I just like the insanity of it. Some people say, well, your shows sometimes are too long. Sometimes I got a Christine earlier, Stephanie Peters, the show goes so long, that's great, yeah. But then I put I like my marathon shows. Yeah. People knock me for, but I don't care. People remember, like you call them, a Perrotta show. And when it's a marathon, they remember it, and then we have a ball. We have a ball. We have a lot of fun, you know.
We talked about this on with Acecito and Scott Higgins on the podcast about like your shows, about how you're always surprised. You're like, this is crazy. And it's just like, well, you booked 90 people on the show. So like, I don't know. You know,
What do you expect?
it's so much fun though. It really is. Like, and I just like getting to know like people at all different levels. Like it's, you know, and like what inspired you to do this? Because like I feel like for comedy, for me being on a stage, I feel like a crazy person. You know, I feel like I'm having a conversation with myself. What goes on in my head is out of this fucking world. And like, you know, and then like there's an audience full of people that are like either, you know, looking at me like I have 10 heads, or they're laughing at my response for what I'm saying, you know. And for me, it just feels like a very crazy, surreal experience, like every time I tell jokes, like, you know. And it's like, you know, so I'm always like interested to see like what helped, like what made you be like, that's what I want to do. I want to stand in front of strangers and like, and make people laugh, you know, and like what, you know, so like, and I feel like everybody has just a different route of getting there, that it's like, you know, and it doesn't matter like what level you're at. I just like to talk to you. I don't know. I just like to get to know people and like what makes them tick, what they're all about, you know, and like, and I feel like comedy is a perfect place for that.
I love the relationship I have with, like, I've got different groups of friends in my life. I'm blessed to have a lot of friends, but my comedy friends, you know, like, I know so many comedians, and whether it's a newer comic, I always try to help with the newer guys, and the bigger comics. I got good relationships. I try to keep, you know, with all of them. Like I try to get along with everybody, and I really enjoy being in the comedy scene. Really, and that's why we're doing the Zoom. I want to go on with different comics and try to keep it alive in myself and for other comics until we can get back on stage. This is a way to do it. Maybe eventually have shows. Who knows? You know what I mean? But right now, I'm just getting my feet wet, trying to have some fun. You know, trying to have some fun and remembering. I still consider us comics. Right now, we're out of work comics, but we're still comics. In my heart, I'll always be a comic. Even if I never do it the rest of my life, I was a comic. In my heart, I'm a comic. That's just the way I feel about it. You know.
Yes.
I really, really have enjoyed it's been a heck of a ride. I really enjoyed it. You know, the good times, the bombing, all of it. I've enjoyed it. You know,
the bombing helps you grow. Yes. And I'm starting to appreciate that more and more as the more I learn about this process. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got the ups and downs. You know, that's the business. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a lot of fun. Though. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, your shows are some of my favorite. So
yeah, we have a good time. So you got food coming, right, Jessica? What did you order?
Here any minute. I know I ordered Bar Louie in Foxborough, which I'm like, I know it rarely comes up on the Uber Eats, so I was like, oh, I gotta jump on this for sure, because this was one of my spots before the pandemic happened.
Did you get a burger?
No, I got a hot honey chicken sandwich.
Hot honey chicken sandwich.
Oh God, yeah, with ranch dressing on the side. Incredible.
Good stuff.
Yes.
All right, that's a plug. That's a plug for Bar Louie's in Foxborough.
Plug.
Yes. A honey chicken sandwich.
That I would love to do a show someday up on the patio. I feel like that would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, there's going to be some outside shows maybe because they can't right now.
Right.
I don't know. Like I said, we got a lot of questions, not a lot of answers. We'll take it day by day, and when it comes back, it comes back. You know?
A lot of the patios are opening in Rhode Island. I've noticed. A friend of mine texted me about a couple of places that are open, and it's weird that. Oh, I think they're here. Hold on one second. I'll be right back.
Hold on. Jessica's getting her food from Bar Louie, honey chicken sandwich, and so listen, everybody, stay healthy. That's all I can. I want to tell all my friends.
Don't order sandwiches that are like 7,000 calories. No big deal.
That was fast.
I know. They're super fast from here.
What that guy? What was he? The Tasmanian devil? He just the door knocked and then boom, you're there.
That, like no contact delivery. They want to be like in and out and like not messing around. So
this whole thing changed the whole world. You know what I mean? It really did.
It
Everybody's
did.
Like, I went and got ice cream a little earlier, and
Yes.
Everybody's like, oh, you gotta be the social distancing, and it's just, and then you touch the corner, then you're thinking, I shouldn't have touched the corner. And you're using the hand sanitizer when you get in the car, and
Some of
it's
it is
crazy.
like, some of it's over the top because like it's like I was reading an article earlier today that like basically like if you like there's a very low risk of you catching anything if it's like from a surface. So it's like, it's like it's tough to tell because then the next day you'll read an article that's like, no, like you can totally get it, from a surface. So it's like at this point, it's like you got to kind of figure out like what risk you're willing to take, I guess. It's like I try to stay home as much as possible, stay out of people's ways, like it's, let some of the frontline workers like really do their thing, and go through what they need to go through. And
Yeah,
then,
I give them a lot of credit. Like any
oh,
frontline worker, like I got friends that are firefighters,
yeah,
police, nurses. I know nurses, doctors. I mean, they're on
yep,
the front lines. Grocery workers, all these people.
yeah,
Well,
yep,
you name it. The delivery drivers, all these people. It's
yeah,
tough, tough.
yeah.
You know?
I got a friend who's on the very front lines of COVID and has been holding up iPads for her passing residents to be able to say goodbye to their families, and and different things like that. And like I, have been, I'm in a different line of social work where I am a community social worker, but like a lot of what I'm doing is mainly what I'm doing is based from home, and like a lot of the community systems that I normally work with, like courts and schools, they're all home. So like they're all closed and whatnot. And I do have two jobs in the field. And like, of course, everybody's going through their own stuff with this right now. So like my job has increased tremendously, but
Oh
like there
yeah.
is, but I'm not, I don't consider myself like a front lines worker right now. I do think that if you are in any line of social work, that your job is going to be cut out for you for the next few years, because even if there was a magical cure tomorrow, for COVID, there's still the ongoing like mental strain, that's going to
This
happen. And like,
this is definitely. I saw a number of times the mental health system is going to be overloaded because
oh yeah,
people are going to have trouble with this for a long time. I mean, there was a
oh
poor, even the nurses and doctors. I saw a couple of weeks back, there was this poor doctor. She was unbelievably, did an unbelievable job in New York, in the hospitals, and it overwhelmed her. And she went home to Virginia, and before she killed herself.
I saw that.
It was awful.
An
I
article
mean,
about that.
the post-traumatic stress of what she went through, you know what I mean, to what she
Absolutely.
saw. So
Yeah.
they got a tough job. They got a tough job. I give them all the praise in the world, you know.
It's going to be tough. There's been talk about there being a new diagnosis in the DSM, which is the book that and the tool that's used to diagnose mental health disorders. There's been talk that there's going to be a new one for just because of like the pandemic and whatnot. I feel like that's not really necessary. I do feel like it's going to fall into the category of post-traumatic stress disorder or adjustment disorder, or acute stress disorder, which would be like what a lot of people are experiencing now, because usually PTSD is usually something that happens about like 6 months after like an initial event happens, and then somebody's having symptoms still down the road, and acute is like the in between kind of. But like it's so I think that like anything that anybody's going through right now, and like I've had PTSD for probably more than half my life at this point, officially diagnosed when I was 15. And like it's like something that I feel like everything that a lot of people are experiencing now is definitely falls under the criteria that already exists. But like it's something that we're like pretty much fully prepared that like it's a lot of people are going to have significant mental health challenges, like based on what's going on. And like the people that already had pre-existing mental health challenges are going through so much right now with everything with COVID. And it's like, and substance use, I worry about people that like are that have like I went through a phase when I was 15 of having an issue, but like it hasn't been lifelong for me. I worry about people that like, don't have access to AA meetings and different things like that in person, and like what that's doing in that isolation piece, because I know how, tricky that can be. So it's like the mental health aspect is really tough. And at the same time, I'm like, it is also the safest thing right now that like, that people aren't out as much as possible. So it's such a
Yeah.
catch 22.
I
Like,
know, I know I've had my bouts in the past that I would drink and gambling, and I don't do those things anymore. But
Yeah.
I've been stressed at times through this, and the last thing I want to do is go do those old bad habits, because all it would do would drag me down. And this is something we all have to fight to
Yeah.
stay in our lives here in this pandemic. And the last thing you want to do if you have an alcohol problem, a gambling problem, a drug problem, the last thing you want to do is go back to any of those things. And then you got a whole nother, batch of problems that you don't want. You know what I mean? You don't want.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
So how should we end this, Jessica?
I don't know. I
We
don't
gotta
know how.
end this.
Yeah. I don't know
You
how
gotta,
we.
you have to eat your honey chicken sandwich.
It's not a rush. Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah, I have food delivered and then it waits so often. But yeah, it does. It waits so often until I'm done with work, until I'm done doing whatever it is that I'm doing. So I'm not stressed about that. I don't know how to end it. I don't know.
Well,
We don't have anything to plug.
it's Memorial Day weekend. God bless the veterans that gave their lives. And,
Yeah.
have a great weekend, the best weekend. Maybe I'll take a walk. I'll get another lemonade, whatever,
I'm jealous of that lemonade because I really could find Adele's. That really could.
Yeah,
Really be on
there's
my list.
adults right near me. It's good stuff.
It is good stuff, and the watermelon one is my favorite one. So I'm like, that's that definitely. I've been looking for those like Richie's slushes. I really could go for one of those. Like,
Yeah.
you know which ones I'm talking about? Like the ones you got to eat with like the straw spoon.
Oh yeah.
I could go for one.
That's cool.
And I
Right,
watermelon
Jess.
too.
All right. Well, we talked about a few different topics where you know what, we're just having fun, just having some fun, and that's what it's all about. Is just get through this a day at a time. Someday we'll look back on this. I don't think I'll laugh about this. I'll look back on it and say, and I'll appreciate when we're at a show with 100, 200 people, we're making people laugh and we're all having fun again. I will appreciate those times.
Some of it is not funny at all.
No.
At all. And then some of it, you've got to find humor in the situation or you'll drive yourself nuts.
You have to find humor, but I don't laugh at much of it. But sometimes somebody has a joke here or there, it'll make me chuckle. But I haven't really been a big. I'm not going to be doing really any pandemic jokes.
Oh no.
I just don't. So many people have died and suffered. Their families.
Exactly. I mainly laugh
at. It's a serious thing to me,
I'm mainly laughing at myself and how I'm handling everything, and it's and that's been working. In terms of like, anytime I personalize any type of material, it just goes way better than talking about things that I'm not comfortable talking about. And like I see so much tragedy on a daily basis with the pandemic that I can't even imagine going there. But like my personal experience and my anxiety and my history with OCD and different things, and like I'm gonna make fun of that. Like that's it. That's I have to, or else I'm gonna lose my mind here.
I go nuts. I go in the market. I keep forgetting they have arrows now. When you go down an aisle, they got an arrow. I keep going down the aisles with the arrows going this way, and I'm going that way. I'm like all screwed up in the market. Every time I go, I forget. I'm used to the old days of going to the market. You go up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
And now I'm going down the wrong way. And nobody said that to me yet, but then I keep saying, wait a minute, you're going down the wrong way.
I had a guy yell at me because I was going the right way and he was going the wrong way, but I got in his way, so he got mad at me. And I'm like, you're going the wrong way. That's not fair. But that's like, but then I thought about it and I'm like, this guy probably had the day from hell. You know what I mean? And he just needed to go into the grocery store and get something, get out. And then I'm that asshole that gets in his way. And he's like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, and I'm trying to like put myself in like multiple different people's shoes here, of like what they could possibly be going through with this pandemic. Because like, you never know. Somebody could have just lost somebody that's very close to them. Somebody could have just been isolated for 2 weeks because they were exposed to the virus and they haven't been out at all, and being out just is like super overwhelming. And it's like so many people have different experiences. So I'm trying to be mindful of that, but I'm totally going to make fun of myself and, trying my best to stay the right away in the grocery store. But like I am messing up a lot in the grocery store. A lot.
And on that note, we'll talk again in shortly. Have a great weekend, Jess.
You too. You
And
too.
we'll get through this a day at a time. We'll have a good weekend, and I'll say happy holiday because it's a lot of veterans gave their lives. But
Yes.
have a good weekend. It's gonna be nice weather.
Yes.
I will see you soon.
Sounds good. I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you. I miss all the comedians. We had so much fun. So
Yeah.
much fun. And we will again. We will again.
Still.
And
Yes.
our audiences will too. And they're looking forward to coming back.
Yes.
It'll be back. It'll be back.
Sounds good.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, Jess.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.